Welcome to the Wife Stories YouTube channel. New video every day, and don't forget to subscribe. Here we go.
I turn off our shared playlist, that familiar mix of old rock ballads and easy-listening jazz used to fill the house with warmth, a kind of invisible cradle that rocked me to sleep. Now, every note grates on my nerves. The silence that follows is heavier than any bass line. I haven't slept properly in days, maybe weeks. My eyes feel hot, chest tight. A glass of water sits untouched on the nightstand. I can't remember the last time I drank anything that wasn't coffee or bourbon. I rub my face and sit there, on the edge of our bed. The sheets behind me are a tangled mess, because I've been tossing and turning, rolling back and forth like a man lost at sea. Sarah's not here. She's downstairs, I think, or in the kitchen. The glow from my phone on the nightstand catches my eye. I stare at it for a long moment. A part of me wants to reach for it, to check again, to see if that note in her phone was real. But I already know it's there. Remind me. Buy condoms. With that little blue emoji. The same one she used to put next to the grocery list when she and I wanted to have some playful night together. That small, stupid detail aches more than any grand betrayal could. It's too personal. John showed up at our door 2 days ago with a bottle of bourbon and a split lip. Said his wife kicked him out. He needed a place to crash for a few nights. I barely asked for details. He's my oldest friend, and you're supposed to help friends, right? I gave him the couch. Whatever you need, I said. That's what I told him. But in my gut, I sensed something. Some tension I couldn't name. I stand, walk to the window. Outside, everything's so quiet. The suburban streets are asleep. Porch lights glow like weak fireflies in a row. Empty driveways, parked cars, the hush of well-kept lawns. It's a comforting sight if you don't know the truth behind closed doors. I think about how normal everything looks. I think about how everything is about to split wide open. Downstairs, I hear a muffled laugh. Hers. Sarah's. That laugh I used to find so comforting, light, musical, like a hidden stream in the woods. Now it sounds forced to my ears, a little too bright. And there's a soft murmur of his voice, John's, something low and playful. I don't catch the words, but I can imagine his typical grin. The same grin he used to flash in high school when we were 17, hustling pool at the local dive bar. That grin said, I can get away with anything. A wave of something hot rises in my chest. Anger, jealousy, confusion. I can't name it clearly, but I swallow it down, the way men are taught to swallow these things. I grip the windowsill. My arms ache with tension. I force myself to look out again, to breathe, to remember who I am. I'm Alex, 38 years old with a stable job in a big retail chain. I'm the stable friend, the stable husband, the stable man. The rock, the one who keeps it all together. That's what I've always been. Sarah used to say she loved that about me, that I was the calm in her storm. Now I wonder if maybe I was just boring, or maybe I got complacent. I try to push that thought away, but it clings like an oily stain. Something changed between us, and I realize with a sick feeling it wasn't sudden. It's been creeping in for months, quietly, like a slow leak in a boat. I leave the bedroom, stepping carefully so the floorboards don't squeak. I pass down the hall, the walls lined with photos. Sarah and me at our wedding, her bright smile, my proud grin. A shot of us on a trip to Lake Tahoe, arms around each other. Another one of me holding our nephew, my sister's kid, smiling at the camera. Everything looks so happy, so well arranged. I feel like I'm walking through a museum of lies. At the top of the stairs, I pause. Their voices are louder now. I can hear her say something about, so, you're okay. And him replying, better now that I'm here. I clench my jaw so hard my teeth almost crack. I remember the phone note. The condoms. I can't push that aside anymore. It's real. It's happening. And I feel like a fool. I skip the last step. taking it lightly so the wood doesn't creak. Around the corner is the living room, the couch where John's been sleeping. The lights are off, but there's a faint glow from the kitchen. I see shadows on the wall. They're silhouettes. She's close to him, or he's close to her, or maybe they're both crossing that invisible line. I take one step forward, then another. My heart's thumping like it's about to bust out of my ribcage. I edge along the corridor until I can see them. And the world seems to slow. Sarah leans against the counter, hair pulled back from her face. Her cheeks are slightly flushed, eyes shining. John's standing so close, his hand braced on the countertop beside her, effectively caging her in. She's not stopping him. She's smiling that small, secret smile. There's tension in the air, thick enough to taste. My mouth goes dry. He's whispering something to her. I hear a low chuckle, something about remember that time in high school, and she giggles softly, touching his arm. That familiar, intimate gesture. Something stabs me under the ribs. I can't decide if I should burst in right now, or just keep watching. My legs feel heavy. A voice in my head screams, "Do something." But another voice, calmer and colder, says, "Wait. Watch." He moves in closer, presses his body lightly against hers, and she doesn't recoil. She tilts her head up, eyes half-lidded. I see his hand slide up to her neck, fingers brushing the strands of hair that escaped her ponytail. She exhales, a quivering little sound. The kiss is inevitable, and it happens, soft at first, then deeper. I hear the wet sound of their mouths meeting, and my stomach churns. My nails dig into my palms so hard, I feel them cutting into the flesh. It's an ugly sensation, standing here in my own home, watching my wife kiss my best friend, my oldest friend. The anger in me flares into something almost uncontrollable, but I hold it down. I clench my teeth shut because I can't let it out. Because if I do, it'll be an explosion that ends in blood or sirens or worse. And I know something about my own anger. Once it's out, it doesn't go back in. She breaks the kiss first, turning her face away. That's when I see her eyes. There's guilt there, maybe, or hesitation. But then he murmurs something, gently moving a lock of hair behind her ear, and she's smiling again. It's like a stiletto sliding between my ribs. I can't breathe. I want to storm in, flip the table, throw him out. But a deeper, more savage part of me wants to see how far this goes. To see what they'll do if they think I'm sleeping peacefully upstairs, oblivious. I step back, move silently away. I think of the phone note again. That single line. Remind me. Buy condoms. So they're planning this. She's planning it. Not just a drunken slip of the moment. This is a full-blown betrayal. My entire body is trembling with adrenaline as I head back up the stairs, 2 at a time. I don't want to witness them heading to the couch or, God forbid, to my bedroom. Some things I can't watch. My chest feels tight, my breathing ragged. By the time I reach the bedroom, my mind is spinning. I want to drink, I want to scream, I want to break something. But I do none of those things. Instead, I sit on the bed again and press my hands to my face. It feels like my entire life is unraveling one thread at a time. All those moments of us smiling in photos, the memories of us dancing in the kitchen, her gentle voice telling me how proud she was of my steady job, my careful nature, all worthless now. I remember years ago, Dad once told me, "Son, if a relationship is rotting, you'll smell the stink before you see the worms." That used to confuse me, but right now it's crystal clear. I've smelled the decay for weeks. My gut told me something was off. She'd be cold, distant, brushing me off with a sigh or a forced smile. And John, maybe I was blind to it, or maybe I just didn't want to see it. But the stench is unmistakable now, and those worms are crawling all through what I thought was a stable marriage. I slide open the nightstand drawer. There's a small notepad there and a pen. I stare at them. For a second, a thought crosses my mind. Write her a note, or maybe leave an ultimatum. But that's not my style. I'm not one for big dramatic scenes. I'm the quiet one, the one who bottles it up until it either kills me or transforms me. I close the drawer and lie back on the bed, eyes open, staring at the dark ceiling. It's almost impossible to sleep. Every creak in the house sets me on edge. My jaw is clenched, my fists are tight. It feels like hours pass, though maybe it's only minutes. At some point, I drift into a state that's not quite rest, more like a bitter half-dream. And in that dream, I see them together, see her looking at him the way she used to look at me. I wake up at dawn. The first pale light creeping through the blinds is an unwelcome sight, but I force myself out of bed. My body feels stiff, like I've aged 10 years overnight. I pull on a pair of sweats and a t-shirt, the same outfit I wear when I go for a run. But this morning, running isn't about fitness, it's about running away from something I can't fix. Downstairs, the house is quiet again. I peek into the living room. John's on the couch, apparently asleep, a blanket half thrown off his legs. Sarah's nowhere to be seen. My eyes lock on John's face for a moment. A bruise is visible on his jaw, likely from that fight with his wife, or whomever. I wonder if it's also from the burden of guilt. Then again, maybe it doesn't bother him at all. John's the kind of guy who shrugs off regrets like a stray jacket on a park bench. I slip out the front door, shutting it softly, and jog down the block. My mind is a storm, replaying the scene from last night. The hush of their whispers, the way she tilted her head for him. That intimate, slow kiss. I run faster, pounding my feet into the pavement until my lungs burn. The morning air is cold, burning my nostrils, but I keep going. The stress inside me throbs in sync with my pulse. Eventually, I loop back home, sweat dripping off my brow, t-shirt clinging to my back. I don't go inside right away. I stand in the driveway, sucking in air, listening. The house is still quiet. Maybe Sarah's in the shower. Maybe John is still sprawled on the couch. For a moment, I consider just getting in my car and leaving, driving without a destination. But I don't. Not yet. Inside, I head for the kitchen. The sink is piled with dishes from last night. 2 plates, 2 glasses, all the evidence of them sitting together, enjoying each other's company while I was tossing and turning upstairs. A wave of disgust sweeps over me. My throat tightens. I can't stand the sight of those plates, so I start washing them, scrubbing the edges with a rage I try to keep locked behind my teeth. I hear footsteps behind me. A soft hey from Sarah's voice. I straighten, water still running, foam dripping off my hands. I turn off the tap. For a moment, I don't reply. I can't. I'm afraid my voice will crack with anger. Finally, I say, "Good morning," in a tone so cold it feels like a slap in the face. She hesitates. "Did you sleep okay?" I glance over my shoulder. She's standing there in a robe, hair wet from the shower, arms crossed loosely over her stomach. Her eyes flick to the plates in the sink. The tension in my shoulders. She must sense something off. But she tries to play it casual. My rage simmers. I swallow it down again. Barely. I say, "Thought I'd do some cleaning." She opens her mouth like she wants to say something more, but no words come out. An uncomfortable silence stretches. I go back to washing, letting the water run. She shuffles her feet. "I'm sorry if we woke you last night," she says. "We were just talking." My hand clenches around a plate, so hard I almost break it. I remember what I saw, them locked in that kiss. "Talking," I echo, my voice dead. "Right." She doesn't respond. I hear her exhale a nervous breath. It's one of those small sounds that says more than words. There's guilt in it. Or fear. Or both. She edges closer, placing a hand on my shoulder. My entire body tenses at her touch. I wonder if she can feel it, the way I go rigid, like stone. I turn off the faucet and step away, forcing her hand to drop. Then I wipe my hands on a dish towel. I can't look at her, because if I do, I might say or do something I'll regret. So I walk out of the kitchen, leaving her standing there. In the living room, John's awake now, sitting up on the couch, massaging his bruised chin. When he sees me, he starts to grin, but the expression falters. "Hey man," he says, voice husky with sleep. I just nod, crossing my arms over my chest. My heart is thudding. I notice he's wearing the same t-shirt from last night, wrinkled, smelling faintly of whiskey. The tension between us is palpable. His eyes dart to Sarah, who's now coming into the room behind me, and then back to me. He must sense that something's shifted. Sarah steps in. "I'll make some coffee," she says quickly, heading to the kitchen as if desperate to escape the room. John and I are left alone in silence. I stare at him. I can't stop picturing the way he pinned her against the counter, the way she yielded to him. "Rough night," I finally say, my tone sharper than I intended. He shrugs, rubbing the back of his neck. "Could have been better. Slept on your couch, so, you know." He tries to joke, but it falls flat. I force myself to breathe. A memory floods my mind. John and me in high school. Cutting class, laughing at some stupid prank. We were best friends. He was always the wild one, chasing thrills. I was the cautious one. Now we're adults, and the same pattern holds, only his chase has led him straight to my wife. An awkward moment hangs between us. Then Sarah calls from the kitchen. Coffee's ready. John stands, steps around me, and heads in there. I remain behind a moment, fists clenched, trying to gather myself. Eventually, I follow them. At the kitchen table, there are 3 mugs of coffee. John sits down, eyes on the steam, avoiding my gaze. Sarah, across from him, picks up her mug, but doesn't drink. I stand near the counter, not wanting to join them like some happy trio. That's the last thing I feel. Sarah looks at me. "Aren't you going to sit?" "No," I say simply. Then I add, "I need to get ready for work." John glances up, tries to catch my eye. "Hey man, thanks for letting me stay here. I appreciate it." My lips twitch into something that might resemble a bitter smile. "Sure, just make yourself at home." The sarcasm is obvious, but I don't care. I leave them there, the tension so thick it's choking me. I head upstairs, fighting the urge to slam every door in my path. I can feel that coil of anger in my gut, winding tighter and tighter. Aggressive, controlled, a dangerous mix. I splash cold water on my face in the bathroom, stare at myself in the mirror. My reflection looks hollow, eyes rimmed with exhaustion. At work, I can barely concentrate. My colleagues ask if I'm okay, and I mutter something about not sleeping well. Corporate meetings, phone calls, spreadsheets, it's all a blur of meaningless tasks. My mind keeps replaying that stolen kiss, the condensation on the countertops, her parted lips, his hand on her neck. The pain is a dull roar beneath my everyday thoughts. Around midday, I get a text from Sarah. "Going to run errands after school. Don't worry about dinner." I read it twice, my teeth grinding. Errands. Right. A sick suspicion creeps up. She's probably meeting him somewhere. Maybe a motel. Maybe in his car. My stomach lurches. I feel like I'm going to be sick. I slip my phone into my pocket, ignoring it. Another part of me is screaming. Confront them. Demand answers. But I can't quite bring myself to do it. The deeper, older fear holds me back. The fear of everything falling apart, of being the cause of a bigger confrontation. I keep telling myself I need more proof, I need to be sure. But deep down, I already am sure. I stay late at the office, pretending to focus on paperwork. In truth, I'm just stalling. Around 8 in the evening, the cleaning staff flickers the hallway lights to signal they're about to lock up. I grab my coat and head out, mentally preparing myself for whatever I might find at home. When I pull into the driveway, the house is dark. Only the porch light is on, casting a pale glow on the front steps. I step inside. No voices. No sign of Sarah or John in the living room or kitchen. My heart hammers. The silence is suffocating. Upstairs, I find the bedroom door slightly ajar. Light spills out into the hallway. My throat goes dry. I push it open. She's there, alone, in bed, reading a book. She looks up, startled. "You're home late," she says, setting the book aside. "Yeah," I reply, voice tight. "Work ran long." She nods, tucking a strand of hair behind her ear. "John, he went out to meet some old friend. He said he might come back late." I stand in the doorway, still wearing my coat. She's scanning my face, searching for clues. I see a flicker of uncertainty in her eyes, maybe guilt or anxiety. Every part of me wants to demand, "What the hell do you think you're doing with him?" But I hold my tongue. Instead, I just say, "Good," and step away, heading to the bathroom. I lock the door behind me, leaning against it. My reflection in the mirror is haunted. I look older than 38 now, lines of stress etched into my brow. The overhead light buzzes faintly. I can almost hear my own pulse in my ears. I think about turning on the shower, but I'm too drained. I just stand there, listening to the hum of the vent fan, letting the minutes slip away. Eventually, I change into sweatpants and a worn t-shirt. I flick off the light and emerge to find Sarah already asleep, or pretending to be. Her breathing is soft and steady. I sit on the edge of the bed in the dark, staring at the shadows. A wave of sadness overtakes me. I remember times when we talked late into the night, giggling like teenagers, planning trips we never took, dreaming about a future that now feels so far away. I don't sleep. I can't. I watch the digital clock flip from minute to minute, the red numbers silently counting the hours of my life slipping by. Around 2 a.m., I hear the sound of the back door closing quietly. Then muted footsteps on the stairs. John, returning. My blood runs hot, but I stay where I am, fists clenched in the sheets. Morning comes again, bleak and relentless. My alarm buzzes. Sarah's not in bed. She must have risen earlier. I dress in my usual work attire, preparing for another pointless day. Downstairs, she and John are chatting in low tones. They stop abruptly when I walk into the kitchen. She's sipping coffee. He's leaning against the counter. They both look at me, expressions masked. It's like stepping into a slow-motion standoff. I mutter a greeting. Sarah hands me a cup of coffee without a word, then glances at John. He clears his throat, says, "I think I'll go out today. Try to clear my head. Maybe look for a motel." He meets my eye. "I don't want to impose on you guys too long." I nearly laugh at the irony. He already imposed in every possible way. But I keep my face stony. "Do what you need to do." He nods, grabs his jacket from the chair, and heads out the door. As soon as it closes, the silence between Sarah and me is deafening. She fiddles with her mug, her gaze lowered. I see the tension in her shoulders. I realize she's probably waiting for me to speak, to accuse her. Maybe she wants me to, so we can have it out. But something stops me. I feel a cold numbness. Instead, I take one sip of coffee, set the mug down, and say, "I'll be late again tonight." Then I walk out. At work, I'm useless. My boss notices my distraction, but I wave off her concerns with some vague excuse about personal issues. By noon, I'm so strung out I can't read a single email without my eyes drifting to the clock. Anxiety churns in my gut. Finally, I can't take it anymore. I decide to go home early and see if I can catch them off guard. I arrive before 4, unlocking the front door as quietly as I can. The house is still. I slip inside, listening. No sound from the living room. No TV in the den. Then I notice the faint hum of the air conditioning, and beyond it, a soft rustling from upstairs. My heart hammers. I step forward slowly, removing my shoes to keep from making noise. Every step up the stairs feels like a countdown. At the top, I hear voices. Low, urgent, coming from the guest room. My pulse is like a drumbeat in my ears. I move closer, fear and fury swirling together. Then I hear Sarah's voice, breathy, saying something I can't quite make out, and John's deep murmur in response. There's a hint of laughter, then a small moan, abruptly muffled. My chest tightens as if seized by a steel vice. Unsure of what's happening. I can't pretend otherwise. My body trembles with adrenaline. I inch forward until I'm just outside the guest room door. It's open a crack. I see shadows shifting on the wall, movement, the corner of the bed. Sarah's hair draped over her bare shoulder, John's hand on her waist. They're half-dressed, or maybe less. The images freeze me in place, my stomach lurching. They don't see me. They're too absorbed in each other. Her soft gasps, his quiet groans. It's the ultimate betrayal, happening not 10 feet from me. My blood runs cold. A black rage pulses beneath my skin, threatening to erupt. But I clamp my teeth, dig my nails into my palms until they draw blood. Anything to stay in control. I can't watch more. I turn and move back down the hall, silent as a ghost. My vision is blurred by anger. My ears roar. I nearly trip on the bottom step but catch myself, stumbling into the living room. My breath comes in ragged gasps. A voice in my head screams, "Go back up and destroy them both." But I know that won't solve anything. It would only create more chaos, and something in me has shifted. Maybe it's a survival instinct, telling me I need to get the hell out of here. I slip out the back door, circling around to stand by the garage. My hand shakes so violently I can hardly pull out a cigarette from the battered pack in my pocket. I light it with trembling fingers, inhaling the smoke too fast. I cough, tears stinging my eyes, though I'm not sure if it's from the cigarette or the betrayal. Probably both. Standing there, I realize it's over. Whatever illusions I had about saving this marriage, they're gone. This is real, physical, undeniable infidelity. And she doesn't even care enough to hide it properly. She's brazen, letting him do this in our home. Rage flares again, but a numb clarity follows. I finish the cigarette, toss it to the ground, crush it under my heel. Quietly, I slip back inside, careful not to draw attention. I feel disconnected, as if my body's moving on autopilot. I go upstairs to the master bedroom, grab a small gym bag from the closet, and start throwing in clothes. Underwear, socks, a few t-shirts, one pair of jeans. I grab deodorant, toothbrush, phone charger. My heart is pounding, but my mind is eerily calm. In the background, I hear muffled sounds from the guest room. I grit my teeth, pushing the painful images away. I zip the bag, fling it over my shoulder, then pause. My wedding photo with Sarah stands on the dresser in a simple silver frame. I pick it up, stare at our smiling faces. We looked so young, so hopeful. I set it face down on the dresser. Let it stay that way. Let everything remain hidden for the moment. Bag in hand, I head downstairs. My plan is simple. Walk out. No note, no scene. Just leave. I can't spend another minute under the same roof with them. Not now, maybe not ever. As I step into the foyer, an idea strikes me. I go to the kitchen, open her drawer where she keeps sticky notes and pens. I recall how I once thought of leaving a note. Now I see no purpose, but a quiet voice in my head urges me to write something, just one line. I scrawl quickly on a note. I know. My handwriting is rough, pressed deep into the paper, as if I'm carving it. Then I stick it on the refrigerator door. Simple, direct. Let them wonder what it means. Let them feel a hint of the agony they put me through. My keys jingle in my hand as I slip out the front door. I toss the gym bag in the passenger seat, slide behind the wheel, slam the door a bit too hard. My heart is racing. I insert the key, twist the ignition. The engine rumbles to life. For a long moment, I just sit there, staring at the house. The place I thought was my sanctuary, my safe harbor. Now it's contaminated by betrayal. I put the car in reverse, back out of the driveway. The midday sun glares on the windshield. My knuckles whiten on the steering wheel. As I drive away, I don't look back. I know exactly what I've left behind. All the illusions, the comfortable routines, the trust that once bound us. It's all gone. And in its place, there's an empty space in my chest, a hollow cavity that throbs with each heartbeat. I check into a motel 2 blocks from my office, a nondescript place with chipped paint and a flickering neon sign. The clerk barely looks up when I hand over my credit card. Room 210. The carpet smells of cheap deodorizer. The walls are thin, but it's a bed and a door I can lock. That's all I need right now. Inside, I drop my bag on the floor, collapse onto the bed. My mind spins with the weight of everything. Maybe I should call my sister or my parents, but I can't bear to hear their concern, their pity. I just want silence, the chance to think or not think at all. I must drift off at some point, because I wake to darkness outside. Streetlights glow through the dusty blinds. My phone vibrates on the nightstand. I ignore it. Then it goes off again and again. Finally, I pick it up. Missed calls from Sarah, texts from John. I flick through them with numb detachment. Sarah's messages. Where are you? We need to talk. Please come home. John's. Man, let's talk about this. It's not what you think. I bark a short, humorless laugh. Not what I think. They were half naked in my guest room, moaning each other's names. That's exactly what I think it is. My chest tightens with anger again. I toss the phone aside without answering. Somewhere around midnight, I manage to get up, go to a nearby diner. I order a burger and fries, hardly tasting them. My head is a swirl of confusion and fury and heartbreak. Across the booth, a reflection in the window stares back at me, a man who looks older, haunted. I think about the last decade of my life with Sarah. The good times, the small gestures, the marriage we built. The cracks were there, but I always believed we'd fix them together. Now that hope seems like a cruel joke. The next few days blur together. I go to work, come back to this dingy motel, ignore countless calls and messages. Sarah tries calling from unknown numbers, leaves voicemails sobbing my name. John's messages vary from apologetic to defiant. I answer none of them. At night, I lie in bed, stifling the anger that simmers beneath my skin. On the third day, exhaustion hits me like a truck. I take a half day off work, too tired to keep up the facade of normalcy. After leaving the office, I sit in my car, watching the wipers smear raindrops across the windshield. A numb resolve settles in me. I need to go back to the house, if only to get some of my things. I can't hide in a motel forever. I arrive in the late afternoon. The rain has tapered to a drizzle, making the streets glisten. Pulling into the driveway, I see John's car is gone. My mind snags on that detail. Maybe he packed up and left. Maybe she kicked him out, or maybe they're both gone. I don't know which scenario I prefer. I unlock the door and step inside. The air feels stale, as if nobody's opened a window in days. The living room looks the same, except for an empty whiskey bottle on the coffee table. There's a faint sour smell of old alcohol. My stomach churns. I walk to the kitchen. That sticky note is still on the fridge, the one that says, I know, but something else is scribbled below it, in Sarah's handwriting. I'm sorry. I yank it off and crumble it in my fist. Too little, too late. The pain bubbles up again, fresh and raw. With a heavy breath, I head upstairs. The bedroom door is open. She's there, sitting on the edge of the bed, hands clasped in her lap. Her eyes are red-rimmed, hair disheveled. She looks at me with a mixture of relief and dread. Alex, she whispers, I've been going crazy trying to reach you. I stand in the doorway, arms stiff at my sides. My voice is low, controlled. Where's John? She shakes her head, tears brimming. He left. The other night. I told him to go. I couldn't. I realized how wrong everything was. I feel a surge of anger. You realized it was wrong after you did it. Multiple times. My tone is like cold steel. She flinches. I'm sorry. I know that doesn't fix anything. But I'm sorry. We fall into a tense silence. My heart hurts, like a bruise throbbing with every beat. Finally, she asks, will you at least talk to me? Let me explain. Explain what? I say harshly, that you've been seeing him behind my back. That you let him kiss you in the kitchen. Let him sleep in my house, share my wife. She sobs, covering her face. I never meant to hurt you. It just happened. I let out a bitter laugh. It didn't just happen. You planned it. You wrote yourself a reminder to buy condoms. You invited him here to stay with us, to share our meals. Don't insult me by saying it just happened. Her shoulders quake with silent sobs. For a split second, I feel a pang of empathy. I never wanted to see her this broken. But then I remember the sting of betrayal, the images of them locked together, the phone note. My anger swallows any pity I might have felt. I step forward, open the closet, pull out a suitcase. She watches through tear-blurred eyes as I start shoving my clothes in. She lifts her head, voice trembling. Please, Alex, can we at least try to? I cut her off with a raised hand. Don't ask me to fix something that you destroyed. I swallow hard. My voice cracks despite myself. You did this. You and John. That's on you. She stands, approaches me. Alex, I still love you. My anger flares. Don't say that. I whip around to face her, the suitcase half full. You think I'm stupid enough to believe that after what I saw? She flinches like I struck her. Tears slip down her cheeks, but I hold my ground, chest tight, breathing hard. For a long moment, she just stands there, silent, tears dripping onto the floor. Then she says, so quietly I almost don't hear, I understand. I exhale a shaky breath, turning back to the suitcase. I jam more clothes in, feeling an odd sense of relief in the act, like I'm finally taking a step to free myself. She moves away, leaving me to pack in silence. I don't glance at her again. The only sounds are my ragged breathing and the rustle of fabric. When I finish, I zip the suitcase and grab it by the handle. I walk out of the bedroom, down the stairs. She follows at a distance, hugging herself as if trying to hold her body together. At the front door, I pause. My hand clenches on the doorknob. I sense her behind me, trembling, wanting to speak, but I keep my gaze fixed on the door. Without turning around, I say, voice quiet, I don't know what happens next, but I'm done pretending we can go back. She sniffles, tries to speak, fails. Finally, she manages. Where will you go? I open the door. Somewhere you're not. I walk out into the drizzling rain, shutting the door behind me. The finality of that click resonates in my chest. She doesn't chase after me, doesn't beg further. Maybe she knows it's pointless. My footsteps echo on the wet pavement as I load the suitcase into the trunk. When I glance back at the house, the curtains rustle, and for a split second I see her silhouette. Then I get in the car, start the engine, and drive away. I half expect the phone to blow up with her calls, but there's nothing. Just silence, except for the rhythmic thump of the windshield wipers. My entire body feels hollowed out, as if some vital organ was ripped away. In the reflection of the rearview mirror, I see eyes that are haunted, but also resolved. I realize that a part of me is strangely calm. Maybe it's shock, or maybe it's acceptance. I end up driving aimlessly for an hour, the city lights flickering by. Eventually, I check back into that cheap motel. The same worn carpet, the same flickering lamp. I lie on the bed, staring at the stained ceiling, waiting for tears that don't come. I'm just empty. All the anger, heartbreak, betrayal. They're there, swirling beneath the surface, but I'm too drained to feel them at full force. Days pass. I function on autopilot, going to work, ignoring messages, coming back to the motel. Eventually, I realize I need a permanent place. I start looking at apartments, small one-bedroom units near my office. Something quiet, cheap, away from the suburban life I shared with Sarah. The process is mechanical. I keep my emotions locked down. One evening, after checking out an apartment, I find myself parked outside a convenience store. I step in to grab a soda, but then I see them. Boxes of condoms on the shelf, arranged in neat rows. The memory hits me like a slap. Her note, that silly blue emoji. My stomach clenches. I grip the shelf for balance. The clerk glances at me, eyebrows raised. I straighten, force a casual nod, and walk out without buying anything. Back at the motel, I switch on the TV to drown my thoughts. But every channel seems to remind me of relationships, love, trust, things that now feel like illusions. I shut it off, letting the darkness swallow me. My mind returns to that last conversation with Sarah. The way her tears fell. A small voice wonders if I did the right thing, leaving everything behind. But a larger, fiercer voice answers, she betrayed you. It's over. One rainy morning, I decide to finalize the apartment. I sign the lease, pick up the key. The place is small, a far cry from the house I once shared, but it's mine alone. I move my suitcase in, drop it on the living room floor. Pale sunlight filters through dingy windows. The walls are bare, no photos, no memories. I can breathe here, though. There's no smell of betrayal, no lingering ghosts in the corners. I carry on with work, focusing on tasks I used to handle almost on autopilot. Now I throw myself into them, desperate for distraction. My boss notices my sudden surge in productivity and praises me, oblivious to the emotional wreck I am inside. Coworkers ask if everything's okay, and I give them half smiles, nods, vague reassurances. The story is too raw to tell. Late one night, I find myself sitting on the threadbare carpet of my new apartment, a glass of cheap whiskey in hand. The overhead light is off, leaving only a small lamp on the floor. My phone buzzes. I glance at the screen. Sarah. Another text. I miss you. I'm so sorry. Please talk to me. My throat tightens. I should delete it, ignore it. But I stare at the words for a long time. Finally, I set the phone down. Unanswered. My chest feels tight. I close my eyes, letting the weight of everything sink in. At some point, I doze off, the whiskey glass still beside me. I dream of our wedding day. She's laughing, running through a field in her white dress, me chasing after her. The dream shifts, her smile fading, replaced by John's face. I wake up breathless, heart pounding. For a moment, I'm not sure where I am. Then I see the bare walls, the lonely lamp, and remember, I'm alone. I'm free from illusions. The pain is there, throbbing, but a strange new strength comes with it. A week goes by without me contacting Sarah or John. One afternoon, I receive a text from an unknown number. This is John. I know you hate me, but I'm sorry. I laugh bitterly. Sorry. The word feels so cheap after what they did. I delete it immediately. In the following days, I begin to settle into a new routine. Early mornings, quiet coffee, reading the paper in a nearly empty apartment. Evenings spent working out or jogging, letting the physical strain burn off my anger. Bit by bit, I start feeling lighter, as if I shed some huge weight. The betrayal still stings, but I'm discovering a sense of self I almost forgot I had. A me that isn't defined by being Sarah's husband or John's table friend. One night, the phone rings. It's Sarah again. For the first time, I answer. There's a long pause, then her shaky voice. Alex? You picked up. Yeah. She exhales, trembling. I just wanted to hear your voice. To know if you're okay. I swallow hard. I'm alive. That's enough. Silence. Then she says, I can't undo what happened, and I hate myself for it. I listen, feeling an odd detachment. Why'd you do it? She sobs softly, her words stumbling out. I was lonely. We'd grown distant. John, he was there at the right. No, the wrong time. I can't justify it. But it wasn't because I stopped loving you. I was just stupid. I closed my eyes, picturing her face wet with tears. Once, I would have rushed to comfort her. But now, something in me remains cold. I can't fix your mistakes. She sniffles, tries to steady her voice. I understand. I guess I needed to say this, even if you never come back. I feel a wave of conflicting emotions. Anger, sadness, a faint lingering tenderness. But the bitterness is stronger. I appreciate the apology. I say, surprising myself with how calm I sound. But it doesn't change anything. Her breath hitches. I know. We linger in silence, the static on the line louder than any words. Finally, I say, I need to go. And I hang up. My hand shakes a bit as I set the phone down. But I don't regret it. For the first time in weeks, I feel a small measure of control over my life. In the weeks that follow, Sarah tries a few more times to reach out. I answer occasionally, short, stilted conversations. Part of me wonders if I'm punishing her. Another part acknowledges I'm just protecting myself. I can't forget what I saw. I can't forgive the months of lying. I'm not sure if I ever will. John stays silent except for that one text. Maybe he's finally realized how deeply he betrayed me. I don't seek him out. The best friend I knew in high school no longer exists in my eyes. He's just a memory now, tainted beyond repair. Time passes as it always does. The pain fades, not entirely, but enough for me to function without it crushing me. I throw myself into work, accept a promotion that involves more travel. I sign the divorce papers when they arrive. No contest, just a quiet, legal unraveling of our shared life. Sarah tries to talk me out of it, but in the end, she signs too. Maybe she understands it's the only way forward. One evening, after a long day, I find myself in that new apartment, half empty. I've bought some furniture, a decent couch, a small TV. No pictures on the walls, no personal touches, but it's livable. I sit on the couch with a glass of bourbon, John's brand, ironically. The taste is smoky, bitter. I swirl it, thinking about how everything changed since that night he showed up at my door, face bruised, carrying a bottle just like this. I sip, letting the warmth spread through my chest. A long sigh escapes me. In the quiet, I realize something. I'm not the same man I was. The illusions are gone. The naive trust is shattered. But I've survived. And in a strange way, I feel more real, more truthful to myself, even if that truth is lonely. I drain the glass, set it on the table. For the first time in a while, I think about the future without bitterness. Maybe I'll decorate this place, buy some artwork, put up a shelf for books. Maybe I'll take a trip somewhere, see mountains or oceans. I'm still wounded, still healing, but I'm free. I hold on to that thought. That sense of freedom, raw and painful as it is, feels like a small victory. In the darkness, I close my eyes. I see Sarah's face, the sorrow in her eyes. I see John's grin, that devil-may-care smirk, but they're fading ghosts now. I can't change what happened, can't rewrite their betrayal or my own pain. I can only move forward, step by step, breath by breath. And I will, because in the end, I'm still here. And despite everything, despite the lies and the destruction, I remain standing. I remain real. And that will have to be enough.